Russia is battling a third wave of COVID-19 infections as the Delta variant cases in the country are rising. The country's health ministry has said that it has over 150,000 COVID-19 patients in the hospital. The outbreak has worsened in two of Russia's major cities, the capital Moscow and St. Petersburg. And in a bid to control the virus spread, the country has ramped up its vaccination drive. It has approved a booster shot for those who have been vaccinated. People can receive the booster shot 6 months after receiving their first vaccine dose. But the decision to provide that booster shot was not backed by scientific data. Russia has one of the highest COVID-19 case tallies in the world. Russia, remember, was the world's first country to approve a COVID-19 vaccine. Despite this, the country's vaccination drive has been slow due to supply shortages.
С учетом неблагоприятной эпидемической ситуации в Российской Федерации будет разрешено проводить вакцинацию после 6 месяцев после перенесенного заболевания и после 6 месяцев после предыдущей вакцинации первичной. После достижения коллективного иммунитета и после стабилизации ситуации вакцинация может проводиться раз в год.
And our correspondent Julia Chapman has been tracking all those developments, is joining us live on the broadcast from Moscow. Hi, Julia. Tell our viewers what explains the sluggish vaccination drive being witnessed in Russia in spite of the fact that it was the world's first country to approve a COVID-19 vaccine.
It was indeed, and it doesn't just have one. There are 4 different Russian-developed vaccines against COVID-19 that have been approved by regulators in Russia. Sputnik V, the first one, is the most widespread. It's the one that most Russians are getting vaccinated with simply because it was the first one and production has been going on for longer. But there is still a lot of uncertainty amongst Russians about these vaccines. There have been very low uptake numbers across the country. Just shy of 12% of the population has been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Those figures are slightly higher in the big cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg. Here in the capital, the figure is closer to 16%. Nevertheless, there is still a lot of mistrust around the vaccines, and there are a few explanations for this. First of all, it was approved very quickly, Sputnik V, and there are some concerns that it wasn't fully studied, although it is now being used so widely around the world that it does look certainly to be safe and effective, and there have been studies into it that seem to confirm that as well. There's also a lot of mistrust amongst Russians towards the Russian government, which is really strongly encouraging citizens to get vaccinated. But possibly the most understandable justification for the low uptake numbers is the fact that there simply haven't been any COVID-19 restrictions in Russia since last summer. There was a very strict lockdown here in Moscow and in a number of other parts of the country until June 2020. And after that, the restrictions were lifted. So there certainly hasn't been any urgency for Russians to get vaccinated. And also the Russian vaccines aren't recognized by many countries around the world. So they don't open up travel to Russians in other countries. So these are the main factors affecting the slow uptake of Russian vaccines against COVID-19. And that is certainly driving the third wave of infections, which we are seeing take hold in the country, which is being gripped by the Delta variant.
Right, and even despite the fact that there is a very very small proportion of the population that is fully vaccinated, a booster shot has now been approved for that portion of the population, but that move is also not backed by scientific data. What have the health authorities been saying?
That's right. They're now saying that Russians who have already been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, or those who have survived COVID-19, who have had it in the last 6 months, can get vaccinated. They are trying to increase the vaccination rate, making sure that the population is as protected as possible. We still don't have a lot of data into the revaccination rates and how that could affect people going forward, but health authorities here in Russia seem confident that it is safe to revaccinate vaccinate quite quickly. And of course, they are really pushing for vaccination to be ramped up across the country. There are certain sectors in parts of the country that are now making it mandatory for employees to be vaccinated. Here in Moscow, employees in the state and service sectors have to have 60% of their workforce fully vaccinated by the middle of August. And that is being a controversial measure here in Moscow and in many other parts of the country that are taking similar steps. But of course, because the vaccination rate is so low, the authorities say that this is the only way they can get people vaccinated is by forcing them to do so. And the Labour Minister of Russia says that it is possible that people could lose their jobs if they don't agree to these measures, if they don't agree to get vaccinated. And the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says that doesn't mean that vaccines are mandatory in Russia, because it's still possible to change your job.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.